Now, as Netanyahu continues to negotiate the structure of his coalition, the right-wing parties have already begun putting together far-reaching reforms with respect to the judiciary. And in fact, the new reforms list no fewer than 16 regulatory clauses, most of which are widely expected to pass. So what are the changes? Well, among them is the revoking of the High Court's ability to disqualify laws, the granting of immunity from prosecution to all sitting ministers, the allowance of multiple Knesset members to fill ministerial positions, and the enabling of a rotational Knesset member list. But here with us now to discuss this further via Skype is investigative journalist with Israel Hayom, Akiva Bigman. Welcome.
Hello, thank you.
So let's jump right in. What are the biggest changes being proposed?
Well, the biggest changes being proposed are changes that are supposed to bring back the restraint on the judicial, we'll call it, the judicial activism that got control of Israel democracy in the last 20 years. Basically, Israel is facing some kind of constitutional crisis in the last 20 or maybe even 30 years. And most of these new proposals are supposed to bring us back to the classic democracy, liberal democracy that used to be in this country before the activists took hold.
Now, how likely are these reforms to pass?
Well, some of them are likely not to pass. Some of them will probably pass, but differently than they are proposed. But I really hope that at least a few of them would pass. Some of them are actually very classic, which are very common in other democracies, like holding a public hearing for judicial appointments, giving the Knesset another chance to have a re-vote on laws that the Supreme Court decided to cancel, which is actually common in Britain. So none of this is made up out of the blue ideas. Most of it is things that are precedented in democracies for hundreds of years. And I think it's about time that Israel takes some of these measures to bring back the classic liberal democracy we used to have.
Mm-hmm. So why is this being deemed so controversial by some critics?
Yeah, well, the fact is there's a big debate in Israel about the role of the judiciary and the whole concept of democracy between progressives who view the country, the state, as a being that's supposed to enforce a progressive vision, and they're using the Supreme Court as a main tool to enforce their vision. And the classic Democrats who think that the people should rule and the Knesset and the government should have most of the power. And that's why the progressives are standing on their back legs and they're fighting against this, because they know that even accepting some of these proposals, even accepting 3 of them, even one of them will very strongly harm their cause and harm the power that the Supreme Court has taken to impose a progressive vision on Israel. So they're fighting basically for their lives as far as they're concerned, because they know that they can't advance this vision through popular vote in the Knesset.
Now, how much of this new legislation is designed to protect the people in power?
Well, if you go through the details of the legislation, I would say maybe none or only one piece of legislation that has to do with the immunity of ministers. But that's not the issue. The issue is the whole legal and constitutional structure of Israel. That's the stakes. So they're trying to portray it as if everything has to do with Netanyahu's personal survival. And it's not the first time. If you remember, Ehud Olmert appointed Professor Daniel Friedman, which is he's a left-winger in his political views, but he's a conservative judicial professor. And they claimed also that Olmert was doing this because he was facing legal charges, and Daniel Friedman was supposed to help him with his personal issues. I mean, this is a classic talking point. Mm-hmm. They're trying to hold the line on the progressive revolution, on the judicial revolution, and they're going to claim all sorts of claims from all different kinds of ideas. Some have some basis, some don't. It doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
Because
Akiva, we're out of time. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you very much.